Okay. Jahan, this is Brigadier Hemant Mahajan. We carry out another review of important events that have taken place in and around India, which has an effect on India's internal security, external security, the way we are fighting multi-domain war against China, the way the other countries in the world are fighting war against China. So let us start the important events. First and most important event was the Chandrayaan, which landed up on the moon, the moon's pole. It was a very important event, and it will ensure that the technologies which were used for this landing will be used elsewhere, and it will start what is called as a space exploration in a big way, and it will give a boost to the local industry, local technological industry, and most of the technologies which were used in while landing on the sun are the ones which can be dual use, which improves the efficiency in other fields. So that's a very good thing. The Indian industry stands to benefit significantly with ISRO has been transferring a lot of technology to the domestic companies, especially the ones who are engaged in special materials, chemicals, broadcasting, and navigation. So this successful soft landing on the moon will bring closer the original vision of becoming a conduit for diffusion of technology. The next issue pertains to the internal security. Tawau Rana, who was one of the main accused in the Mumbai terror attack, is not going to be extradited to India because U.S. court, because of technical reasons, has stopped his coming to India. That's not a very good news as far as India is concerned. As far as the state of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, in last 5 years, 4 years, there has been a systematic method to catch individuals who were involved in terrorism. As many as 2,300 people who were linked to terrorism have been caught. Today, the infiltration attempt by Pakistan on the border has been reduced to almost zero. There are barely 1 to 2% of people, terrorists, who are able to get through into India from Pakistan's side. So therefore, the terrorism is at an all-time low. There was a recent internal security meeting which talked about internal security, terrorism, cyber security, which was chaired by the Home Minister Shri Amit Shah. And this conference brought together the police leadership, the experts, the practitioners, which is aimed at ensuring national security challenges. Now, next issue pertains to Manipur. Manipur has been quiet for last 7 8 days, and the security forces have been able to further recover arms and ammunition during the search operations. The next issue is that India is going to use artificial intelligence to do AI to do the UPI transactions with the help of AI because a lot of times the illiterate people or uneducated people are not used cannot use this system because they are not able to understand even the simple technology. But a voice recognition or a face recognition will ensure that this is done in a much better manner. The next issue is Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which carried out an attack on the security convoys in the northwest Pakistan, killing 6 soldiers. One of the Indian politicians, Dr. Manishankar Iyer, has said in his report that India should carry out a dialogue with Pakistan because if India wants to become a world power, then if you still remain inimical to Pakistan, world will not recognize you. Obviously, this is wrong. As far as we are concerned, Pakistan is a failed state. We should not just bother about Pakistan, but continue to focus our attention on improving relations with other countries, which will be more productive. Now, some issues pertaining to the external security. There is a lot of good news. The light combat aircraft Tejas has successfully test fired a missile called Astra, which is fired beyond the visual range, and the test was successful. It was carried out. It was fired from an altitude of 20,000 meters. Defence Acquisition Council has agreed to proposals worth 7,800 crores which will enhance the operational capability of the Indian Armed Forces. As far as the Indian Air Force is concerned, they have given order for 100 more light combat aircraft Tejas, but they are light combat aircraft Tejas Mark 1A, worth about $8 billion. So this will replace the MiG-21 jets. So totally 200 LCA Tejas are being ordered. They are going to be manufactured in the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and once they join the Indian Air Force fleet, the number of Tejas Mark 1A will only be second to the Russian Sukhoi series. That means these are going to replace the MiG series completely. Defense Ministry has inked a pact of 19,000 crores with the Hindustan Shipyard Limited. Five fleet support ships will be built. These are ships weighing to the tune of 44,000 tons. They'll be built in India by an Indian shipyard. The project aims to boost self-reliance in defense manufacturing, and they are being constructed by the Hindustan Shipyard Limited. They will assist, they'll be used for refueling, restocking, and providing assistance during disaster relief operations. The project is expected to generate an employment of nearly 16 lakh man days spread over a period of 8 years. The CBI has arrested a Canada-based businessman who was working for, who was carrying out espionage. Now, next issue pertains to the external security. First, in Ladakh, the Indian military leadership paid a homage to the 8 soldiers who were martyred when their vehicle went down a cut, and all of them died in a very unfortunate railway correction, unfortunate road accident. So a tribute was paid to these soldiers. The National Investigation Agency has charge sheeted 16 in Jharkhand in the arms seizure case. They include regional commanders like Ravinder Ganju, Balram Boran, and many other people. The armed forces veterans who retire slightly early, 60 to 70,000 of them retire every year or release every year from active service. So majority of them are only in 40s. So these are being used in a big way by uh, by the corporate world, which adds up to the value addition. Now, next point pertains to the OIC delegation which had gone to Xinjiang province of Pakistan of China. Now, one would remember that Uyghur Muslims stay in the province of Xinjiang. Now, today the Uyghur Muslims have been reduced to minority in Xinjiang, and most of the Xinjiang is occupied by the Han Chinese. Now, everybody knows that literally lakhs of Uyghur Muslims have been put in the reformatories, or also called as the open jails, in which they are taught about the Chinese philosophy of living, and they've been told to leave all Muslim culture totally separate and only follow the Han Chinese customs. While the OIC keeps on shouting when there's some problem in Kashmir, or they keep on shouting on other things when problems take place in Europe against the Muslims, but all these people went there to say everything is fine in Xinjiang, knowing it fully well that everything is wrong in the Xinjiang province where the Uyghur Muslims, their human rights are being violated. The next issue pertains to countering the Chinese multi-domain war. A lot of important activities have taken place. We will cover them one by one. First is China's zero COVID policy, which they abruptly stopped in between because of the protest from the locals, has resulted into nearly 2 million deaths. I repeat, 2 million deaths. So that's a very high price to pay for a policy turnaround. There has been a meeting between India and Japan at the deputy NSA's level, in which strategic dialogue was carried out with reference to defense, economic security, etc. The Chinese Coast Guard is trying to block Philippines vessel near the disputed shoal, where one of the old ships of Philippines is breached, but Philippines was able to break the cordon and go inside. The Taiwanese vice president was on a visit to USA. The Taiwanese President Tsai also was on a visit, and they have said that we are going to strengthen the defenses of Taiwan further, and we will not let China occupy Taiwan. Sri Lanka is busy in processing Chinese request for a research ship which is expected to dock in Sri Lanka. Obviously, India does not like it. Australia has added US Tomahawk missiles to boost its long-range strike capability. This obviously is against China. The Philippines has been standing up to China number of times, and it has been withstanding increased external and internal pressure. They have been helped in by the USA, but the Chinese continue to bulldoze them. The Philippines and the Australian troops have carried out an exercise in the South China Sea, in which nearly 1,200 Australian soldiers and 560 Filipino Marines stormed the beach and carried out various amphibious assault vehicle drills, etc. Now, this means the anti-China alliances are being strengthened in the South China Sea. Now, the China and USA are competing in a field called the computing power. A technological war is going on between the USA and China, and at present, China is carrying out a propaganda that in this technological war they have an edge over USA. Whether the edge is real or it's just a propaganda, we will only come to know over a period of time. But the fact remains that China is spending a fair amount of money in improving their technological lead, and they're trying to become leaders as far as technology is concerned. The next issue pertains to uh, China, in which it is caught some civilians who were spying for the USA's intelligence agency called the CIA. The Chinese students are not very happy to study in China, and the number of students, Chinese students leaving China, going abroad to study outside has increased by as much as 23% in 2022. The next issue is about Afghanistan. When USA ran away from Afghanistan 2 years back, it was thought that China will step in and take over Afghanistan. I had said at that point of time also that this is not going to be easy, and this is exactly what has happened. China has still not been able to make too much of an inroad. There were a set of experts who were saying that China will build what is called as the Belt and Road Initiative. That has not happened. Now, China's economy is down in a slump. They are almost getting into recession. That is, these facts are well known and repeatedly covered in the world media. This gives time to both India and the Western world to catch up with China. Now, is the China's 40 years boom over? Is their economy going to get into further problems? That is, will only come to know over a period of time. But the fact is, Chinese economy is today progressing at an all-time low. The Chinese fertility rate has also dropped down sharply, which means China is not able to replace the population. Uh, China's birth rates are much lesser than the death rates. That means over a period of time, China's population will reduce. And secondly, the working population, that is, people in the working age, is reducing every year. There's a meeting between South Korea, Japan, and USA at a place called Camp David, in which all the planning was done against China. That's a very good news. The anti-Chinese alliance are only being strengthened further. Some other news in brief: Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi, he and Iran President explored partnerships on Afghanistan, counterterrorism, etc. Then Indian Prime Minister was in Greece, where the two countries have decided to take their relationship to a strategic level. The next issue is Saudi Arabian guards are ensuring that nobody is able to come inside Saudi Arabia, especially refugees from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Libya, etc. Uh, The cost of Ukraine war has been very, very heavy. More than 9,000 civilians have been killed, 16,000 injured, and this is the biggest damage caused after World War II. Uh, with the news that Russian mercenary chief uh, Prigozhin, he was traveling in an aircraft which crashed, in which he's supposed to have died. Many experts feel that the crash did not happen just like that, but Prigozhin was killed because anybody who is an enemy of Putin always gets killed because Putin wants an absolute challenge and he doesn't want anybody who will challenge his authority. Russia has also said that induction of F-16 into Ukraine will only increase the level of violence in the Ukraine war. And the Ukrainians have been attacking Russian capital Moscow repeatedly with drone attacks. So this is creating a fair amount of problem for Russia. And it is expected that the Russian war in Ukraine could go on for many more years. These are the important activities which took place over last 1 week. I have tried to analyze it for you. Try and share the link with as many people as possible. Thank you very much and see you again next Saturday. Jai Hind.